chef at Le Cordon Bleu. She could have dropped out of high school and bartended at an eco-resort. But instead, she had taken the road more traveled by. She stayed in New York for college, attending Columbia, a mere 50 blocks north of her childhood apartment. She majored in English literature, and she spent her weekends drinking iced matcha the color of algae, shopping for vintage clothing in Bushwick, and going to flash tattoo parties where she never actually got a tattoo. She graduated on time, signed a lease for a studio on 3rd Street, and took a job as an editorial assistant at a publishing house, a position secured by her mother's industry connections, her mother a best-selling thriller writer, and nepotism remaining a powerful currency in the small world of books. For 6 relatively happy years, Caroline lived the life of a young person in New York publishing, complaining about her meager salary while accidentally spending 3 figures a week on espresso martinis, staying up all night reading manuscripts only to have them scooped away by more senior editors, and going to readings and parties at bookstores and private clubs, the publishing assistant's Zara wool coats hanging misshapenly alongside the thick Irish wool of old money New York. Caroline was a writer herself, and so on the nights when she wasn't perched on a folding chair next to a long-suffering publicist at the Strand or Greenlight, she would venture down to Le Dive to drink wine with her friend Nina and eavesdrop on people, writing down all the best bits of dialogue for her short stories. Nina was an actress, constantly auditioning, so she would arrive at the bar in character, dressed one day like a goth high school student, the next like a homesteader in a prairie skirt, resulting in the same guys accidentally hitting on them multiple nights in a row. These were guys with rings on their pinkies, guys with ironic mustaches, guys conspicuously carrying paperback copies of Kurt Vonnegut in their back pockets. They were funny, they were undateable, they were exhausting, and Caroline and Nina came up with a game where the first boy to mention he'd been to Mexico City had to buy them around. Even though Caroline was initially hired at the publishing house because of her famous mother, it turned out she was pretty good at her job. She was a fast reader and had a gift for soothing anxious writers, for prying away their finished manuscripts before they overworked them like pie dough. Still, she felt her mother's celebrity presence in every interaction, the jolt of recognition every time she said her last name, the fact that the older editors even bothered to say hello. She was given promotion after promotion, soon assisting the editor-in-chief, mastering the fine art of rolling calls from both his wife and his girlfriend, and then to associate editor, earning the right to handle authors on her own. The path to a real office with a door was clear ahead. A closed door. Oh, to call the gynecologist from work. To eat salad at her desk like a wild animal unobserved. But then, at 28, Caroline surprised even herself. She placed one of her short stories in The New Yorker, walked into her boss's office, and gave notice. The other associate editors were shocked. Who left a paying job over one short story? Who thought that a decent 6,000 words was enough to abandon an entire career? Only someone with a dream, a rich parent, and a 20-something's blind confidence in her own untested abilities. Caroline's mother, Gwendolyn Lash, was less than pleased with her daughter's sudden unemployment. "Caroline, do you know how many people have read my books? 10 million. Do you know who reads The New Yorker? Nobody. They just skim the cartoons and then put it in their powder room to look smart." Or, "Caroline, don't tell me you're planning on writing in a coffee shop. You'll end up gorging yourself on $8 croissants and dating a barista with a screenplay." As Gwendolyn sniffed and swiped, Caroline simultaneously realized 2 things. She was craving an almond croissant, and she really needed to get away from her mother. In a flurry of industry, Caroline applied to every fellowship and writer's residency she could find. She sent her short stories off to New Hampshire and Sarasota, Wyoming and Alaska. It didn't matter where she went. She just needed a bed, a desk, and maybe some of Nina's Adderall prescription. When the email arrived from the Palmer Preston Foundation, Caroline screamed. She had been awarded a fellowship, complete with 18 months in a seaside cottage, sponsored by the late Palmer Preston, the famous American author. Preston had lived in this tiny village of green.
To keep listening to this audiobook for free, click the link in the description. It will take you to a free Audible trial where you can listen to this and many other books for free for 30 days.